Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for this hearing and for this opportunity to clear up some issues that are pending. Mr. Dong, I've worked with the other side on language in H.R. 4487. That is a bill that will be marked up tomorrow to finally get the GSA to develop the very valuable property facing Independence Avenue, essentially mall property. It would be the entire Department of Energy site. It would be consistent with the ongoing Southwest Eco District Plan. Mr. Dong, given the delays that have been involved, the false starts here, can the agency commit to completing the program requirements for the Department of Energy by June?
Absolutely. Our plan, right now we are working with the Department of Energy to develop their program of requirements for their headquarters for the future, and our work is that, our expectation, excuse me, is that that will be complete by the summer.
Now, you just discussed disposal of the Cotton Annex. First of all, I want to commend the agency for trying out some of the strategies that are commonly used in real estate, such as exchanges. Now, that is what you tried out in order to get development elsewhere. Disposal of the Cotton Annex and the regional office building nearby in exchange for construction services, for example, at 1800 F Street. Here we have a huge office building, half done, and you're trying, and I commend you for trying to get that completed. But I don't understand the strategy going forward. You just said that the Cotton Annex, you're going to dispose of that. That's in the regular process. What are you going to do about 1800 F Street in that half-finished building which you were trying to get done? And what happened that you had to essentially throw up your hands after the process that was underway for the exchange in order to get 1800 F Street, the GSA building, completed and not left there as a kind of ruin waiting for something to happen? What happened? Who underestimated what? Why weren't you able to get the value out of the exchange? Didn't you know that in advance? Is that really rocket science?
What we observe with the Federal Triangle South project is that as you introduce more complexity and risk into the transaction, that gets factored in terms of the valuation and how the market looks at the value of our assets.
That's complexity that you did not foresee?
I think part of it is we saw that with what we were trying to do here was to renovate a historic building, 1800 F Street, that currently had tenants in it. We've come to recognize that that type of work has a lot of unknowns to the developers, and through this process we are learning from that experience and applying it to how we approach exchanges as we go forward.
Well, I certainly hope you don't cease to do exchanges, but what's going to happen to 1800 F Street there? You talk about disposal of Cotton Annex, and of course this committee has been at pains to ask for disposal of, especially in this most valuable of sites, but that just leaves you, doesn't it, with the ordinary process and 1800 F Street with no strategy for moving forward?
We recognize that we've got to complete the modernization of 1800 F Street. The building has only been half renovated. But as we look at that question, we're also looking at our larger portfolio of federally owned buildings across the nation. So we've got to make some tough choices in terms of we've got significant need across the portfolio as the portfolio ages. And we recognize that there's some trade-offs in this tight budget environment, which is why we've asked for full access to the Federal Buildings Fund, because we feel that it's important to take the dollars that we collect from our tenant agencies and to reinvest them back into our federal buildings.
So if you could use those funds from the Federal Buildings Fund, which I thought were for purposes such as that, you could get that building completed?
I think an important element here is to make sure that every dollar that we collect in rent, we're able to reinvest back into the federal portfolio. We appreciate the funding that we got in fiscal year 16. We think that goes a long way to helping address the backlog of repairs and modernization needs that we see in the portfolio. But if you look at earlier years, previous years, that wasn't always the case.
Mr. Chairman, I have more questions, but if I've reached the end of my time, then is there a second round?
Yeah, we're going to do a second round. Chair recognizes Mr. Meadows for